Hi, I'm Mike Gridley and welcome to PowerBoat Television. This week on the show, we're taking a cruise along the historic Lachine Canal through the heart of Montreal. Now, opened in 1825, this canal played a very important role in the growth and development of early Canada. So, join us as we hop aboard and take a cruise along the Lachine. Our trip along the Lachine began at the downstream end of the canal in the old port of Montreal, within sight of the remnants of Expo 67 and within walking distance of Old Montreal and the newer city beyond. Boats transiting the Lachine enter Lock 1 at the eastern basin of the harbor, passing under an active railway bridge. Inside the lock, Parks Canada staff await to help position you on the floating dock. With all of the boats secure, staff collect the lockage fees, pass out information, and answer questions. They also measure each boat's air draft to ensure they can pass under the lowest bridges, only 8 feet above the canal. This first lock will lift boats up to pass through the short basin to Lock 2, past the antique tugboat in the shadow of an old grain elevator. In the early days of the Port of Montreal, the ships were able to come up through here and up into the turning basin above these locks to deliver grain to these abandoned elevators that were closed in 1996, the series along here. But these, at one point in time here, the old Port of Montreal at the beginning of the Lachine Canal was the busiest and largest grain port in the world. Clearing the upstream side of Lock 2, our flotilla passed under Mill Street into Basin 2. While empty now, this section of the canal was the site of 20 early factories along the south bank that set up here for the hydraulic power to run their machinery. The area where the canal widens is the Peale Basin. Back in the day, ocean-going ships could reach this point and make a turn to return to the harbor. Now the basin affords a great view of the Montreal skyline. As you pass under the CN Wellington Railway Bridge and Road Bridge, the upcoming section of the canal was home to Redpath Sugar. Built in 1854, the refinery received raw sugar from the Caribbean by sailing vessel. Closed in 1979, it now houses lofts, condos, and retail stores. Just west of Redpath is Lock 3, where we are entertained by the staff's skill with the dock line as the lock filled. At the top, we met up with David Ledoyen from Parks Canada.
The canal is an artificial waterway that goes through the southern part of the island of Montreal. It goes, it's a 14-kilometer long canal that goes from Lachine on the upstream side, on the west side of the canal if you want, and goes down to the old Montreal. And there's a difference of level of 40 meters between Lachine, the St. Louis Lake, and the St. Laurent River at the old port. So it's quite a drop. So in order to bypass this tremendous obstacle, people wanted to build a canal since the time of the French colony, but it was only opened, the first version of the canal, in 1825.
Back underway and clear of Lock 3, it was a short run at the 10-kilometer-per-hour limit past the old industrial lands now reclaimed for housing. Well, we've just arrived at the Marché Atwater, the farmers market since 1933. So join us later in the show as we have a tour of the market and continue our cruise on the Lachine Canal. Welcome back to the show as we head in to explore the Atwater Market. Built in 1933, the market was almost converted to offices in the 60s, despite it being the best-known landmark in St-Laurent. The Atwater Market, a cornucopia of all things food and more, is the largest flower retail and wholesale location in Montreal. Open-air stalls sell all manner of produce, fruits, meats, and seafood. In the building proper, you will find more produce, cheeses, specialty items, and butcher shops. Many samples are available to try, and there are quite a few places to sit down for a quick taste or a meal. The Marché is a definite must-see when cruising the Lachine Canal. From Atwater, it's a short run past the newer condominiums on the north bank until you reach the first real obstacle on the canal. And that's why lock staff measure your boat's air draft. The St-Laurent CN rail bridge has a clearance of 2.4 meters or about 8 feet. Clearing the bridge, the red brick factories and stacks mark the site of the old merchant's cotton mill that became part of Dominion Textiles. Closed in 1967, it is now a National Historic Site, and the dock out front provides boaters access to the site and a restaurant. Just past the stack, new condos now sit where factories once were. As you cruise this stretch of the canal, more factories from Montreal's past line one shore, while the other has returned to a more natural state. The last factory before Lock 4 is the old Canadian malting plant with its unique ceramic coated silos that provided malt barley to Montreal breweries like Molson over the years. After waiting for the downbound traffic to exit the Côte Saint-Paul lock, including a bunch of canoeists, our group of boats was called into the lock. When you exit Lock 4, you are now entering the longest open run in the canal that stretches 7.3 kilometers to the final lock in Lachine. As the afternoon progressed, it was nice to relax at the helm and enjoy watching walkers, skaters, and bikers enjoying the day and the canal's trails. Just past the halfway point of the canal is the old LaSalle coke crane, which was built in 1928 to unload coal for Montreal coke and manufacturing when coal was converted to gas. The next run of the canal is bordered by parks where nothing existed but the canal ditch lined with earthen levees.
We're just coming up on CP Rail's Rockfield Bridge that was built in 1915. You notice it's quite different than all the other bridges. It's going through a wider span here first, but it's also sitting on concrete because it's sitting on rock. This area is all rock under here, and it stopped the development of the first canal in 1701 when they couldn't get through the rock.
A huge industrial area was developed in the 1880s along this stretch of the canal, with companies like Dominion Bridge, Stelco, Alice Chalmers, and Jenkins, all of whom have now shut down. This area is currently one of the largest brownfield redevelopment sites on the island of Montreal. As the sun moved lower and we approached Lock 5, our final destination of Lachine came into view. Adjacent to the canal is the Parks Canada Lachine Canal Visitor Centre. If your schedule permits, tie up a while and take some time to look into the history of the area.
Well, we've arrived in Lachine and got the boat on the trailer. It's been a wonderful cruise along the Lachine Canal on such a great fall day. If you ever get the opportunity, take advantage of it. Whether you're cruising into Lachine or cruising into the old port of Montreal, if your boat doesn't fit, take a tour boat or rent a bike and enjoy the trails along the canal.